Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda. Let's break this fight down. But before we get to that, y'all help me run the numbers up on this video. All right, so I'm really excited about this fight. It's a fight I've been looking forward to for some time now. You have a clash between two different styles. The counter punching ability of Shakur Stevenson and the pressure and volume punching of William Zepeda. Let's start with Shakur. I think that throughout Shakur's career, unfairly, he's been labeled as a runner, but that's not entirely true. If you actually watch his fights and break down the footage, he's right there to be hit. You know, the biggest fights of his career, Oscar Valdez, Jamel Herring, Robson Conceição, Yoshino, Artem Harutunian. He's right there to be hit. His opponents just can't capitalize on it. You know, I think there's two fights that come to mind where people run with that running narrative. That's against Edwin De Los Santos and Jeremiah Nakathila. What do those two fighters have in common? I think those are the two biggest punchers that Shakur has faced in his career to date. But other than that, you know, you saw in his last fight against Padley, he's right there to be hit, doing some nice work on the inside, making his opponents miss and making them pay. Now, I want to focus in on that Edwin De Los Santos fight. There was a moment in that fight where Shakur's kind of along the ropes and De Los Santos catches Shakur with a body shot. Shakur kind of turns and runs to the center of the ring. That's where that famous meme came from, where it looks like Shakur's running. I think that in that moment, Shakur was hurt. You know, I'm not sure if De Los Santos realized that Shakur was hurt or he just couldn't capitalize. If I'm Zepeda watching that fight, I'm kind of licking my chops. You know, I think that De Los Santos is quicker and faster than Zepeda. He's probably more twitchy and has more one-punch KO power. You know, we saw what he did to El Rayo Valenzuela, but I think that Zepeda cuts the ring off more and he throws more volume punches. So if I'm Zepeda, I'm going to try to emulate some of the things that De Los Santos did. Now, switching over to William Zepeda, if I'm Shakur watching those two fights against Tevin Farmer, I'm rubbing my hands like Birdman. You know, it was a lot of mistakes defensively. You know, early in Farmer's career, he was a boxer, used to fight behind the jab, but as he's gotten up in age, he's kind of stood in the pocket and went toe-to-toe. We saw that against Miritaya in those two fights with William Zepeda. Now, Shakur can do everything that Farmer can do and much more. Now, I was impressed with Zepeda when he fought Giovanni Cabrera. You know, Cabrera gave Pitbull Cruz, a pressure fighter, a tough fight. That was an ugly fight, a hard fight to watch. But Zepeda broke him down early and he was able to get the stoppage. So I was thoroughly impressed with that. But I look for Shakur to fight behind the jab, try to get the distance and timing. And I look for Zepeda to try to pressure Shakur along the ropes. We saw in the De Los Santos fight, when you pressure Shakur along the ropes, he tends to tie up. Now, if he continues to repeat that, maybe the ref starts to warn Shakur about excessive holding and he might start deducting points. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Make sure you tune into the channel tomorrow. I will be doing a full breakdown about Edgar Berlanga versus Hamza Shiraz. But in the meantime, in between time, subscribe, follow, like, comment, and share that thing. Peace.